Thank you, everybody, for giving us 5 minutes. The team was taking into account everyone's feedback during the last, day, and wanting to make sure that it got incorporated in some revised language that Dr. Dooling will put up for a vote. One thing I did want to say before we get started is, first, I really appreciate, again, everyone's honesty and willingness to speak up and represent the diverse viewpoints on the committee. I think this is exactly what the committee is supposed to do. I also want to recognize that, part of our charge today is to really look forward, and I don't want us to spend too much time looking backward. We are where we are today, and I just want to make sure that from the perspective of implementation and equity, that we are not reevaluating prior decisions, but rather, given where we are today, how can we move forward together? And I still, want everyone to be able to express their viewpoints, but with the recognition that we are in a different context today than we were a month ago. So with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Dooling.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lee. If we could have the so the policy questions that are in front of us, we have heard your comments and adapted them to be reflected in these policy questions. The first of which is, among risk groups for whom CDC recommends the Pfizer-BioNTech booster dose, should those who received an mRNA COVID-19 vaccine primary series be recommended to receive a single COVID-19 booster dose 6 or more months after completion of that primary series? And the second policy question pertains to Janssen, and that is among people aged 18 and older who received a Janssen COVID-19 vaccine as their primary COVID-19 vaccine. Should a single COVID-19 booster be recommended at 2 or more months after receipt of that initial dose? So perhaps I should move on to the proposed voting language. So to address policy number 1, that is the mRNA, here is the suggested interim recommendation vote language: that a single COVID-19 vaccine booster dose is recommended at 6 or more months after completion of an mRNA primary series in the same risk groups for whom CDC recommended a booster dose of Pfizer-BioNTech under the FDA's emergency use authorization. I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Lee.
Actually, I wonder, let's move forward. Are there any questions or clarifications people would like to make? Again, this was a revision based on the conversation today. Ms. Bata.
Thank you. I think where the evidence seems to be the strongest for an additional dose to a broader group of individuals is among those who have received the Janssen vaccine. And I think that by a second, a boosting dose, it really pulls up the efficacy that is more similar to the receipt of the mRNA vaccines. So this would limit the people who received Janssen vaccines and may not fit into these risk groups.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to actually ask Dr. Dooling to move to vote number 2, which was what I was debating about whether to move forward with. I think that will hopefully answer your question, and then Ms. Bata will come back to you.
Okay, let's move on to C, vote number 2, and then perhaps ACIP members can sort of restart back at vote number 1 language. So vote number 2 is a draft interim recommendation to a single COVID-19 vaccine booster dose is recommended for persons aged 18 and older at 2 or more months after receipt of the initial Janssen dose under the FDA's emergency use authorization.
Ms. Bata, does this address your question?
Very much so. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Dr. Sanchez, did that answer your question as well?
Yes, but I just wonder whether both cannot be combined into one, because we're recommending a single COVID-19 vaccine booster for any individual, irrespective of what they received initially. But yes.
I think just to make things crystal clear, it might be helpful to separate them out into two votes because the timing is different and the risk groups are different.
This is Amanda. I just want to let everyone know, though, that all of this information will come out in a single MMWR. So if these votes are approved today, it will, in essence, be a booster dose recommendation just with the different timing and the different groups for these different primary series. And the clinical considerations will be adapted to reflect this this language as well.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Dr. Lair.
Thank you. I support both these recommendations. I echo Dr. Long's feeling that there are probably many people who are going to get a Moderna booster who don't need it. However, given the situation that we've already approved of Pfizer, and there are enough people who are looking for a booster, I'm inclined, reluctantly, to just go ahead and recommend a similar pattern for the Moderna booster. I have much stronger feelings in favor of the Janssen booster. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lair. Dr. Chen.
I will just agree with the sentiments that Dr. Lair just stated and Dr. Long as well, but that was not my question. This is more of the clarifying question, which I think we can only vote on policy decisions for U.S. vaccines. But again, our vote does not preclude the ability in the clinical considerations section for international vaccine recipients to receive a booster dose in the U.S. Is that correct? Is that the intent? And again, it's perhaps, again, because they are not U.S. vaccines, we cannot have that specific recommendation, at least that we're voting on.
Thank you for that comment. It is certainly top of mind and will be addressed in future iterations of the clinical considerations document.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Dr. Chen. It'll clearly be a question that many clinicians have. Dr. Talbot.
Yes. I had a question about vote 2, a clarification vote. I was wondering if in the clinical guidance it could recommend that young women not get this vaccine, that they look at other vaccines as their second dose.
Thank you for that comment, Dr. Talbot. Within the clinical considerations, the risks that were articulated at length during the meeting today will be pointed to and fleshed out and articulated in a similar way within the clinical considerations.
Dr. Talbot, I just want to add that we're also looking into doing multiple additional products for the public so that they can more easily understand what if they do have an opportunity to choose which vaccine they want, how to think through those decisions. And we are hoping to have that available both on our web pages in a very clear and concise and easy to understand way, as well as in posters in places like pharmacies and things like that.
Thank you. Dr. Long.
Yes, you'll be happy to know that I have no problem with number 2. Can we just look at number 1 a minute? I have a way in which I could really be very much in favor of this. So I would rather you not say the same risk groups, but that you spell them out and you modify that last risk group of 18 to 64 with increased exposures, institutional, occupational, because that it's smoke and mirrors and underhanded and winks and nods and sounds like we're taking care of our healthcare workers and everybody else. Good luck with your problem. I would rather you use some of the words that were suggested by others about what would be considered as societal, cultural, living, environmental risks of increased exposure or increased severity of disease. And if we could change that last bullet to not just say the same risk groups as before, and then in the clinical guidance, suggest that for those under 50, there is not good evidence that this booster is needed, and these are the groups in which we have particular concerns for adverse events. So I don't just like this same risk groups. And, you know, the FDA changed their words over and over again over the 2 weeks. I think we need to change our words because it's paying lip service to the wrong people and not protecting the people who are at increased risk.
Dr. Long, I just want to clarify, and maybe I'll just restate what you might be proposing, but perhaps in a different way. I think because there are both should groups and may groups in those risk groups, one way to clarify the intent of the recommendation, you're saying, is to clarify the should groups and the may groups, similar to what was done before, and to make sure that that language is harmonized with the updated FDA language. Is that another way of stating what you just said?
I think it is. I think, Dr. Lee, it's that in the May group, we need to be more inclusive because we have, in fact, made the recommendation that anybody who wants to get this vaccine may get it. And so I think we need to be inclusive in the May group, and then in the clinical guidance, we need to say what would maybe be a reason you shouldn't get it if you're under 50 and don't need it and have risks of adverse events, et cetera. So
thank you.
I'm fine with the shoulds. The mays, I think we need to clarify.
Dr. Long, let us sit on that for a moment, and we're going to go to Dr. Sanchez.
So I agree with Dr. Long as well, but that was my comment is, first of all, that I do agree with the current wording, especially with number 2, because I will say, I do want to put it out there that as it was originally worded for among people over 18 years of age who were initially vaccinated with the Janssen COVID-19 vaccine, I was personally not going to recommend a booster dose of the same product of Janssen. So I'm glad that we have included the mix and match for the vote number 2, because there I would support it. And certainly the risks associated with the second dose the risks associated with the Janssen product need to be clearly stated, especially in those age groups, not only for the thrombotic events, but also for the Guillain-Barré risk. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanchez. Dr. Brooks.
Yeah, and I know this was previously stated, but can you clarify why the recommendation for the J&J booster is 2 months and not 6 months?
Hello, Dr. Brooks. So the predominance of data that was submitted by Janssen was their study, large study, randomized control trial of individuals who received 2 doses at 56 days apart. They also had a small study of individuals being boosted at 6 months. But again, the predominance of data did show was demonstrated at 2 months, and that is the authorization for which FDA has moved forward with this booster. So those are the reasons that we too are moving ahead. And I think we have shown data here that is compelling that the Janssen vaccine has vaccine effectiveness, which is less than the mRNA vaccines, and there may well be benefit to giving a booster dose as early as 2 months following initial dose.
All right. So I was leaning more on the latter because of the poor response, because their data. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there additional questions? Dr. Bell.
Hi there. I don't have a question, but I just thought I would make a comment in regards to this discussion that we've been having and to Dr. Long's initial comments and subsequent comments. And I want to say that first of all, I completely agree with what Dr. Lee has said about looking forward and not looking backward. And while I have my own concerns about making recommendations which appear potentially to recommend vaccine for people who I don't think need it, I think that a really important aspect of all of this is being clear and not dancing on the head of a pin so that we don't further confuse the American people. I think, between all the different recommending bodies and voices out there, we risk really sacrificing what's best overall for the purposes of purity. And I am of the opinion right now that what we need to do is be clear, as simple as possible, allow for flexibility, given that there are a lot of people out there who have already made up their minds, and also, as I say, be simple so that in the clinic and clear so that in the clinical considerations, people who still do have questions are not faced with multiple different types of wording and multiple different ways of slicing and dicing, which just compound their confusion.
Thank you, Dr. Bell. If you have any particular suggestions you'd like to give us, that would be terrific. Dr. Sanchez.
No, I actually want to echo also Dr. Bell's comments, because I think that to make any different recommendations or change some recommendations that were previously approved with the Pfizer BioNTech product, it's just going to cause further confusion. And I think the products are similar enough that we need to stick with what the original recommendations showed or were recommended.
Thank you, Dr. Sanchez. Dr. Bell.
Yes, I'm sorry, we're going around in circles. No, I think that what we've got here is good. And I think that the direction in which the clinical considerations is going with some of our input is also good. So my long involved little speech there was really in support of the way we have this organized right now.
Thank you, Dr. Bell. Appreciate that. Dr. Long.
I very much appreciate Dr. Bell's assessment of all of this, and I do also want to go forward. I will rely heavily on the clinical considerations to really reflect in that group of occupational and institutional that that's not what we mean, because I think that it just makes the haves and the have-nots very, very separate. How will people understand that they really should or should get this when they are at increased risk if we don't make it clearer? So I appreciate Dr. Bell. I'm always going to agree with your assessment of what's best for the public good. But I'm really relying on the clinical considerations to set that out in a better way than was done previously.
Thank you, Dr. Long, and Dr. Reddy is on call. So, Dr. Daly.
As usual, Dr. Bell managed to articulate very clearly what had been sort of stirring around in my brain. So thank you very much, Dr. Bell, for that, because I think this is a clear recommendation that we can make that then we can move forward on, recognizing that there's a lot of detail that'll be put in the clinical consideration. So I like the clarity of this, and I think we're in a good place. Over.
Thank you. Do any of our voting members wish to make a motion? Oh, Dr. Sanchez.
Yes, I will.
Oh, I see. Okay, Dr. Bell. Go ahead, Dr. Bell.
No, that's okay. Anybody can do it. But no, I'm not seeing any, hearing silence. I'd be happy to make a motion. Do we need one motion for the first vote? We need two votes, right? So I'm going to make a motion for this vote that's on the screen right now.
Thank you for clarifying that, Dr. Bell. Yes, we needed a motion for vote number 1 on the screen right now. Would anybody like to second? Dr. Sanchez?
I'll second that.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that we adopt the recommendation language presented by the work group for vote number 1.
What percentage? I mean, right now it's showing something like this and 10% of.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Oh, and I had forgot. We're going to actually go ahead and take our first vote first, and then we'll move to the second vote. So if everyone could, all the voting members, could please turn on your video camera, including me.
And as you're doing that, I'll just remind everybody that this vote will will supersede the vote from a couple of weeks ago on Pfizer. So in the MMWR, these will be the two recommendations as opposed to the language, which will include the groups, but there won't be that Pfizer vote this will supersede that.
Thank you. Yes, it was moved and seconded that we adopt this language. So we will now move to the vote. And as a reminder, I will ask you to state your name, whether you have a conflict of interest, and then your vote. So I will start today with Dr. Sineas.
Sybil Sineas, no conflict, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Daly.
Matt Daly, no conflict, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Cotton.
Camille Cotton, no conflict, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Lair?
Amy Lair, no conflict, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Long?
Sarah Long, no conflict, yes.
Thank you. Ms. McNally?
McNally, no conflict, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Paling?
Paling, no conflict, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Sanchez?
Sanchez, no conflict, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Talbot?
Talbot, no conflict, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Alt?
Alt, no conflicts, yes.
Thank you. Ms. Bata?
Lynn Bata, no conflicts, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Bell?
Bell, no conflicts, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Brooks?
Oliver Brooks, no conflicts, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Chen?
Chen, no conflicts, yes.
Thank you. And Lee, no conflicts, yes. So vote number 1 passes with 15 yeses and 0 nos. Thank you, everybody. We're going to move on to the second vote, where I'm going to, on the next slide, ask if anyone would like to make a motion for vote number 2 as listed on the screen here. I see Ms. Bata's hand raised first. Ms. Bata?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to accept the language for vote number 2.
Thank you. And I will call on Dr. Alt next.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we adopt the recommendation language for ACIP vote number 2 listed on the screen. And I will ask our voting members again if you are ready to vote. Okay, I don't see any objections. So this time we will start with Dr. Long.
Long, no conflict, yes.
Thank you. Ms. McNally?
McNally, no conflict, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Paling?
Paling, no conflict, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Sanchez?
Sanchez, no conflict, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Talbot?
Talbot, no conflict, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Alt?
Alt, no conflicts, yes.
Thank you. Ms. Bata?
Bata, no conflicts, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Bell?
Bell, no conflicts, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Brooks?
Oliver Brooks, no conflicts, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Chen?
Chen, no conflicts, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Sineas.
Sineas, no conflict, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Daly?
Matt Daly, no conflicts, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Cotton?
Camille Cotton, no conflict, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Lair?
Amy Lair, no conflict, yes.
Thank you. And Lee, no conflicts, yes. And vote number 2 passes with 15 yeses and 0 nos. Thank you very much. I would like to just open up the floor if anyone would like to make any additional comments or have any additional discussion about these 2 votes. Dr. Talbot.
A lot of what I was concerned about has been said, but I just want to reiterate. For vote 1, Moderna still has very good VE. There will be some confusion with the higher versus the lower dose. So those that are not at a high risk should really be thoughtful about getting that dose. So I think the clinical considerations will be incredibly important. I did vote yes to simplify the recommendations for the American public and the American healthcare system, but I do think we need to be very aware of the potential complications.
Thank you. Dr. Chen.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with our discussion today. I think that I heard, from my colleagues a breadth of thoughts, and I think that they were really, terrific for me to hear. Certainly from my point of view, I really appreciated that we were finally able to look at, consider, and recommend a mix and match approach as part of our way to boost people's immunity, especially for the people who need it. I think we've already discussed that there is data that there are some people that really don't need the booster dose at this time. And I guess I'd like to just remind the American public now that there are the other non-pharmaceutical interventions that we need to all have a multi-layered approach when we're out in public to continue to mask, keep physically distant, try to have indoor kind of ventilation as an improved environment for the workspace, those sorts of things as an important part. And we're not just going to vaccinate ourselves out of this situation, but it really is a multi-layered approach. So anyways, it was great. I think that we had a great discussion and the outcome was what I was hoping for. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chen. Dr. Paling.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to speak. One of the things that was stated earlier, while we focused a lot on the booster dose, the work group emphasized, and we want to reiterate, the importance of increasing primary coverage for the entire population. And so that needs to remain an important focus. And I completely agree with Dr. Chen about the importance of using other mitigating factors. And then this booster dose recommendation is for those who the balance is favorable for and want to encourage people to be able to make that assessment. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Paling. Dr. Daly?
Yeah, thanks so much. I want to make a quick comment with regards to vaccine safety. Dr. Shimabukuro has at prior ACIP meetings reminded us all that the vaccine safety surveillance is the most intensive that's ever been undertaken. And we're using that data to better quantify these rare risks. And it's a crucial factor in the decisions that we're making. But I think we want to just be cognizant of the fact that intensive degree of vaccine safety surveillance is going to continue in the context of boosters, and that data is going to be brought before this committee. So every bit as much of the sort of safety surveillance with the primary series is going to be in place for the booster doses. Over.
Thank you. I do not see any additional hands raised. I did want to make one comment, and I'm actually going to channel my colleague, Ms. Veronica McNally. I hope that's okay, Veronica. In that I actually think, similar to the comment that was made earlier in the meeting where we talked about, vaccines don't save lives, but vaccinations do. I have the same feeling about our recommendations and implementation. So our recommendations are one step of the way, but it's going to be so important, as everyone mentioned, for us to make sure that in our implementation that patients are truly educated about the benefit-risk balance based on their own personal situation. And it is the hardest thing for us to do. But I would encourage all of us to go beyond the recommendations at this point and do our best to educate our communities, our provider teams, partner with public health. And I'm going to say, our hope is that we will also be able to, in the future, be able to have those discussions with school communities and with much broader communities than this. And we look to our CDC partners here in the room and beyond for their expertise and for continued dedication to ensure that these public health education efforts are prioritized, as they are so important for us to be able to do the right thing. With that, I don't see any additional hands raised, so I think what I will do is I'm going to ask if there's any additional business items that people feel are emergent to discuss today. I see no hands raised. So with that, I would like to adjourn today's ACIP meeting and thank everybody for their time and their patience and their willingness to discuss these difficult issues. And I hope everyone has a good night. We'll see you again soon. Take care.
All right. Good job, Grace. Great job.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.